Welcome to another Connecting the Community podcast. I am Marge Andre, the host of this podcast, where I talk, for the most part, to people doing good things in and around Richmond Hill. On this podcast, I am very pleased to be talking with Richmond Hill Councillor Carol Davidson. We're going to talk about her motion that she put forth asking York Region to complete an infrastructure capacity and growth readiness assessment for data centers. Welcome, Carol.
Thank you very much, Marge. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad we found the time to do this. Got lots of questions, but first, how has your summer been going?
Well, it's busy. This is election time, as you know. And in addition to that, there's the regular work to do. So it's been busy, but it's good. I can't believe we're in August already. I feel like
yes,
2 months ago it was snowing and here we are August. Like it just feels crazy how fast the time goes. How's yours been?
Mine has been very good. And I am currently in my place in Honduras where it's really hot, but no complaints. I'll be back in a few weeks and doing lots of great things happening in Richmond Hill. So I don't want to be away for too long.
Right.
But so I want you to tell us what your motion is all about and why did you bring forth this motion?
Well, thank you. So my motion, which was unanimously supported by council, is asking York Region to do a comprehensive assessment of all the things that data centers require, infrastructure impacts, and then provide back a report for all the municipalities to see. Because right now, data centers are being approved, but the municipalities like Richmond Hill doesn't check with Vaughan and Markham doesn't check with Richmond Hill to make sure that the electricity, water, wastewater, and all the resources required for data centers are being planned for, and to really tell us what have we already in data centers, how many are coming, and what can we afford in terms of resources. So we're really asking the region to do a comprehensive report for all the municipalities to really understand where we are and what the long-term effects and long-term planning should be for York Region in terms of having data centers here.
Ooh, yeah, that sounds like a very important thing to do to look regionally. We do have a two-tier government, so we need to pay attention to such things. But
right.
How many data centers are there in York Region and in Richmond Hill?
So at this point, we know there's 4 in Vaughan, there's 3 in Markham, there's 3 in Richmond Hill. That's including ones that are in the works. But we don't know what those other municipalities are planning in the future. We don't know what the size is necessarily. So those are what we know about. It's what we don't necessarily know about. And in fact, here in Richmond Hill, there's a plan application for a 350,000 square foot data center in the Orlando Leslie area. And it's saying in its own report of the applicant that it's expected to use approximately 2.4 million liters of water every day, primarily for cooling. And that's the equivalent use of more than 10,000 residents, or about 4,300 households. So what this proposal is saying, in isolation, Richmond Hill might look at that and say, well, we could probably accommodate that. But the truth is, all the municipalities get their water from York Region. So what's the accumulative use of water going to add up to? And we really need to be working together, and we need to know what's available, what can we approve safely, and if we do need more infrastructure like water pipes, wastewater, all that stuff, what is the requirement going to be down the road? Because these things need to be part of regional planning and city planning.
Word accumulative is really an important word for that. And thank you for putting the volume of water in a way that I can relate to. When you say so many cubic liters, I could not comprehend that. So thank you for breaking it down.
If you add this proposal to the one I just mentioned, the very large one, to other regional data centers, it's estimated that 22 million liters per day, or approximately 8 billion liters annually of water will be required. And to me, I've never seen such resource hungry businesses as data centers. And I think we need to work with them because we all, like you and I, are talking on a computer right now. So they are part of our future, but let's be ready for it. Let's make sure we plan as a region and as municipalities to make sure we're ready for it and know what we can afford and what we can't in terms of approval of data centers. And I would like to see some guidance from the province, because this is just York Region. What is Halton Region doing? What is Toronto doing? What is Niagara doing? Like, these are massive resource using businesses that I think we need more guidance from the province and perhaps even the federal government in terms of a national strategy.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the federal government because I've heard issues out in Edmonton and such that a lot of questions are being asked. So I'm really glad that you are asking these questions. But just to make certain, your motion does not call for a ban on data centers.
Right. At this point, this is fact finding. We're at the very beginning of this whole explosion of data centers, even though some of them have been in the works for quite a while. My question is, what is our capacity in York Region for data centers? Before we all start individually approving them, what can we do? Has the region planned for these things? When we all do these 5-10-year plans individually and as a region, data centers need to be part of that plan. I'd like to know from the region, has that been considered in terms of growth for water, wastewater, infrastructure? I mean, the electricity is also a huge concern. And there's already, a realization that the increase in use of electricity is going to have to be addressed. But that's not a regional concern, whereas the water, wastewater, those things we can control, and those things we need to know what's the cost and what can we afford. And even in terms of what we have now, we need a coordinating sort of a clearinghouse, and maybe that should be the region that has oversight and is keeping track of all these things, big picture.
Yeah, that certainly makes a lot of sense. So this is the summertime, and councils, regional, municipally, have taken a break. So what is the timeline for this motion?
Well, there's still a meeting, a council meeting for Richmond Hill and for the region in September. We only approved this at council in July, so I'm hoping that letter gets to the September meeting, but it's a request. It's a request by one of the municipalities, the Council of Richmond Hill, to please provide a report. So I'm hoping it comes to their council, but I haven't seen the agenda for that meeting. If not, it'll have to wait until the new term, which should start, at the end of this year after the election.
Woo. Okay. I must admit, I don't know if I like the idea that we are not acting immediately, but I guess.
Well, it's not us. It's what the region decides, right?
Yes.
We sent the letter right away. We send it, and then the region has to decide when they're going to put it on their agenda. But I have spoken to the regional members of council in Richmond Hill, or the mayor and the 2 regional councillors, and they know it's important and they support this. So hopefully we'll get it sooner than later.
Good. Keeping my fingers crossed. Okay. And can you just tell us the general locations of these centers?
So they're in the area of Vogel, if you know where that is, Orlando, the sort of employment lands, or sort of from the 404 to Leslie, south of Elgin Mills, and north of Highway 7, actually further north than that. So it's in the business areas north of Major Mackenzie. They're in the areas that are industrial areas, are employment land areas.
Okay. So they're not in somebody's real backyard, which I guess that's good. Okay.
They aren't, but there are residential neighborhoods across the street. Just on one side we have the employment lands, on the west side we have a substantial number of residential homes. So, I know there's other concerns regarding data centers, and the city's going to be keeping their ears open to figure out, how are these things integrating in our community.
Yeah. No, I think we all need to be paying attention. Have you got any feedback from other residents?
Well, I have. And in fact, I think residents, many of them are quite educated about data centers in terms of what they require, where they're going. And many have reached out to me since I brought forward this motion. And they're concerned. They're concerned about the heat they generate. They're concerned about the energy they require. They're worried about the water they require. So this is definitely something residents are interested in. And I'm glad we're starting to ask the questions to make sure we have answers as to how they're going to affect our community.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope after this podcast, there are more questions, not just to you, but generally that we need to be really paying attention to this issue as things change.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, I'm hoping this gets on the agenda sooner than later, and then there'll be a period of time where the report, if Regional Council agrees, it'll go back to York Region staff, and then they will have to initiate a report that will look at all the data centers that we have. As I said, we'll look at what we are going to need and help us really understand the long-term effects on electricity, water, wastewater, and planning. And then at least all the municipalities of York Region, Vaughan, Richmond Hill, Markham, and all the rest will be working off the same information. And then we can make informed decisions. And again, as I said, I hope there'll be some guidance and oversight from the region and from the province in particular so that we're all playing by the same rules.
Okay. And will there be opportunities for the public to voice concerns?
Well, when it comes to regional council, they'll absolutely be allowed to speak as delegates, just as they would if it is a region, if it was a Richmond Hill council meeting. It's just out of my hands now until the region comes back to us with a report or saying they're not going to do a report, and then we'll take it from there.
From there. Okay. So again, something to pay attention to. And, I've had people reach out to me with various issues. So, it's certainly something now on my radar. So again, thank you, Carol, for what you've done so far. And we will keep in touch with the issue.
Absolutely.
I'm going to end the podcast as I end all podcasts asking you the question. If you had a magic wand and could make the world a little better, what is one thing you would do to change the world?
I guess one thing I'm really worried about is climate change. And I would, if I had a magic wand, there are a lot of other problems, but I think climate change in terms of making some areas uninhabitable will exacerbate some of the problems we already see, including lack of housing, food insecurity. I would make it so that every single government on the face of the earth was required to invest in mitigating climate change and working together so that even though one country is doing all they can for wind and solar and, power and solutions that aren't green gas emitting, that other nations follow suit. We all need to work on climate change. So that would be my magic wand, because I think a lot of other social issues are resulting in because of climate change.
Okay, I agree with you on that idea that we need to work together on climate change. And yes, that's a good thing to do with your magic wand.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Carol.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you,
send that magic wand in the mail. I'm eager to get it.
Okay.
Okay, take care.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Carol,
bye-bye.
for taking the time to do this podcast.
My pleasure.
Okay. Thank you for listening. I would appreciate you sharing this podcast. Consider emailing me at Marge, M-A-R-J, at margeandre.com. I would welcome suggestions for podcast guests. Let's stay connected.